We've all been there, feeling a little lost, just looking for some kind of guidance. So, in this explainer, we're going to dive right into this idea of the still small voice and figure out how we can actually tune in to that divine direction in our own lives.
I mean, have you ever been at a serious crossroads, just wishing a giant flashing arrow would light up and show you which way to go? Life can really feel like you're trying to find your way through a thick fog sometimes. And that search for a clear, confident path, well, that's something pretty much everyone can relate to.
So, how do we find that clarity? Well, it all points back to this foundational promise, something that isn't supposed to be some big mystery, but a really core part of the spiritual journey.
The Bible, and you can see this specifically in Romans chapter 8, gives a pretty direct answer to that feeling of being lost. It's this whole concept of being led by the Spirit. But, what does that actually mean in practice?
Well, think of it like this. It's a state of being where your decisions aren't driven by chaos or anxiety, but by this deep sense of peace and rightness. It's an awareness that you're in sync, you're on the right path. Now, that's the goal for sure. But how does this guidance actually sound? And that question brings us right to the heart of what we're talking about today. Because, let's be honest, if we're all waiting around for some booming voice from the heavens, we're probably going to miss it. The way this guidance usually shows up is a lot more subtle. And this is just brilliant because it really explains why so many of us feel like we're not getting an answer. We expect something spectacular, loud, fiery, impossible to miss. But the story of the prophet Elijah, it completely flips that whole expectation on its head. So picture this. The prophet Elijah is on a mountain and he's waiting to hear from God. First, this incredible wind comes through, so strong it's literally shattering the rocks. But God wasn't in the wind. Okay, next, a violent earthquake shakes the entire ground. But nope, God wasn't in the earthquake either. And then, a raging fire sweeps by. And still, God wasn't in the fire. I mean, after all that noise and power, where was he? After all of that chaos, all the noise, all the raw power, came a still, small voice, a gentle whisper. And that's the big reveal. The divine communication, the thing he was waiting for, didn't come in the spectacle. It came in the quiet that followed. It teaches us we need to listen for the whisper, not the roar. Okay, so if we're supposed to be listening for a whisper, that means we have to get a whole lot better at, listening. So this is where we get practical. How can we actually cultivate the sensitivity we need to hear it? It really boils down to these 5 key practices. First, be still. Second, wait on the Lord. Third, reduce noise. Number 4, obey promptly. And finally, stay clean. These aren't just, nice ideas. They're active things you can do to tune your spiritual frequency, so to speak. Now, that first step is the foundation for absolutely everything else. Be still. It's a command. It means intentionally, purposefully creating quiet moments to just listen, not talk. In a world where our phones are buzzing every 2 seconds, this simple act of being still is actually pretty radical. This chart does a great job of visualizing how our choices directly affect this. Just look at it. Prompt obedience literally sharpens our spiritual hearing, but delaying it, that dulls it. Reducing distractions clears the channel, makes it easier to hear. And unconfessed sin, well, that can cloud our ability to discern anything at all. It's a really clear cause and effect relationship between what we do and what we can hear. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. We've gone from the promise of guidance to understanding its quiet nature, all the way to some really practical steps for listening. So let's bring it all home and look at the path forward. And this right here is the ultimate takeaway. This verse from Proverbs gives us this incredible assurance, almost like a formula. Trust completely. Acknowledge him in all your ways, not just the big, life-altering ones. And the promise is that he will direct your paths. It's a direct connection between our trust and our direction. So let's end on this thought. This isn't just theory, right? It's a practice. I want you to think about your own life, your schedule, your habits. What is the wind, the earthquake, or the fire? What's the loud noise in your life that might be drowning out the very guidance you're looking for? What's one thing you could quiet down starting today?